Okay, so welcome everyone to this power half hour in which we're going to have a little chat about a selected quote. So we'll just talk about today's quote, which I'm going to bring up on the screen now for 10 minutes or so, and then we do a meditation. So let me know when you can see the screen. So this is the one I've chosen. There is only one happiness in this life: to love and be loved, which is from a novelist called by George Sand, a French novelist. Can you see the screen now? I think you're muted, John. You can see it. Okay, you're on mute. So any thoughts on that?
It doesn't sound very French. George Sand.
George Sand. I think it was probably a pseudonym. But there is only one happiness in this life: to love and be loved. Which actually the research really shows that. There was some research they did in a study called the Grant study, which is about 80 years old now, and they tracked some Harvard graduates, about 250 odd Harvard graduates, one of whom was actually John F. Kennedy, interesting enough. He was part of the study, and they tracked them over the course of their lives to see what was happening in their lives, and they interviewed them frequently. Spent like over $20 million on the study. And the guy who ran the study for 40 years said one thing. He said, some 5 simple words: happiness is love, full stop. That's what they found. So nothing else really made these guys happy. It wasn't careers, and some of them were, John F. Kennedy was president. There were some senators. There were high-powered business people, and the results of the study really show that the only sustainable source of happiness was love. When people had loving connections, loving relationships with others, and there was a healthy kind of self-respect, self-love, then they reported that they were happy. And if they didn't have that, then there was no happiness. So the research shows very clearly a connection between love and happiness, and that all these things that are put out there that will make us happy. So we live in a world of marketing where anyone is willing to say, well this, get my product, get my service, this is going to make you happy. A faster car, a smarter car, drinking this, it's ridiculous, drinking this whiskey, it's going to make you happier. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. And yet these kinds of false associations predominate in our society because people use them to sell products and services. They never sell the product and the service just purely on its own, generally, especially with lifestyle kinds of products. It's all about, oh no, this is going to make you happier by implication. You're going to be a better self. It's about self-image, about status. And marketers know that, these kinds of things work, so they use it. But do they actually work? And the research just absolutely says they don't. There's another lady who's responsible for a podcast called The Happiness Lab. It's also a professor of psychology in a US university. She said that it's very simple. The research says that these things that we think are going to make us happy, like whatever it is, money, more possessions, nice holidays, the research shows that's flat out wrong. It's just that those are words, flat out wrong. That happiness only comes from love. That's what the research shows, and obviously spiritual teachings confirm that love is the source of happiness. Chosen this quote to kind of go with sorry, I just had a call which I need to just shut off my get it going again. So what goes with love is happiness, almost inevitably. As the quote, so beautifully says, there's only one happiness in this life: to love and be loved. And if you want to take that a little bit deeper, I've chosen this quote. God is in everything I see. It's workbook lesson 29 from A Course in Miracles. And if you retranslate God to love, love is in everything I see. So it's really about finding this source of love in your own mind and seeing it everywhere. It's in everywhere and in everything. Because remember, love is pure formless awareness. Love is the very source, the very essence of who you are, of your being. So how can it not be in everything you see if you're seeing with your mind? Love is in everything I see. And then the next one is because love is in my mind. You just retranslate God here to love. Love is in everything I see because love is in my mind. Because it's my true awareness. So if I see from that awareness, then I must be experiencing this emotion we call love, which is not a specific love. It's not a special love. It's not, oh, I love this person because they do this for me and they meet my needs. It's a love that's universal. That's beyond the specialness. It's a love that exists whatever someone says or does. So this is really the key to what the Course calls a holy relationship. You see the person as they really are, as this divine love that you are as well. So it's not I love you, it's like I am you. I recognize that I am you. And that's really what love is about. It's a unitive consciousness that unites us with other people. And so there's no, in true love, there's no subject-object duality. I don't love you. I just recognize that I am you. I am the same presence or source or essence as you are. And if I see that, then I must love you unconditionally. So it's divine love versus special love, which is not that well understood in this world. But that's what these lessons are pointing us to. And the quote says, love. Well, what does love really mean? Is special love, I love you because you meet my needs, is that really love? Or is it actually not love at all? Is it actually just a form of hatred? And this is what Jesus is saying in the Course. Special love is not really love. It's actually, I only love you if you meet my needs and you meet the various conditions. And if you don't meet them, then very quickly my love turns to hatred and attack and anger. And that's not love at all. So the quote and the lesson are pointing us to this kind of divine transcendent love. And if you experience that, then how can you not be happy? Because you're living in your source. This awareness now permeates through all of your experiences. And you cannot not feel happy if you're in that expanded state. Happiness comes as a result of it. So any thoughts on that? I've talked enough. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
I think with regards to the lesson, I think it's really useful actually to replace God by love in this sense. I think it feels much more more meaningful.
Which is why it's often useful to retranslate these words like God and especially the God word, because he uses it a lot, into something that's okay. Well, God is love, and he does say that in the Course. So retranslate it, and then it makes sense. Love is in everything I see because love is in my mind. Okay, so what is love? Well, love, if we go to our glossary of terms, love is pure formless awareness. It just is. It's an expansive awareness that has no conditions. It just is. And if I can see that in everyone and everything, then I must be happy. So I don't seek happiness. Happiness comes if I meet its conditions. If I'm in this awareness, then happiness must start arising naturally in my mind. So it's simple ideas, but very profound. Yeah, Ruth, anything to say?
Oh, I just wanted to add something. I was listening to, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just listening to your lovely words, and I'm just out walking, and it's a lovely sunny day, and you're saying all these things about love and what it is, and I'm just seeing this most magical scene all around me. It's like I've walked in these fields for so many years, and I'm just seeing something I've never ever seen before, and all of the droplets, the rain droplets on the grass, look like rainbows, and they're really bright lights of rainbows I can see. So it's like a magical scene. So it makes me think of this sort of like a manifestation of what you're describing, love or happiness or something. So yeah.
And it's just a state of mind. You go into, you're seeing the same thing you've seen for years and years, but you see it with different eyes, and suddenly you go, oh wow, actually there's some other presence here. You can call that love. That's just infusing everything I see with, we can call it magical. It's actually miraculous. Love is miraculous. I mean, we'll get in, I don't know if you're familiar with the Course terms, but he talks about magic and miracles. And, there's a different magic is when you're looking to the external world to try and satisfy you and make you happy. Miracles are when you find that within you and then you extend it out. You just go, well, I feel that deep fulfillment and connection within me, and now I see it everywhere. How can I not see it everywhere if it's in my awareness? As the second lesson says, love is in everything I see, because love is in my mind, and I'm seeing you're perceiving with your mind. So I think what's happening now, because we're doing this little session and you're walking, it's like, oh, actually you go into a little bit of an altered state, this love starts to arise a bit more in your mind, and then you see it everywhere. And and that is an expanded state of awareness, and it's very uplifting, as you just described. It's, oh wow, like I'm seeing the world with different eyes. So why couldn't we always see it this way? That's the question. Why couldn't we live in this expanded state all the time? If it's possible some of the time, why can't we always see it in everything? Because it's in your mind always. So no matter what the situation is, why can't you infuse that situation with the love that's in your true awareness? And then your life becomes a miracle, right? Every moment you're living in this miraculous state connected to love. And this is really the enlightened state of mind that all the masters point to. And they say, actually, this is what's possible. You can live in this really expanded state, but you need to train your mind to see it. And you can't focus on the external world as the source of your love or your joy, because it's going to disappoint you. Find it within you and then extend it out. Then it just goes with you wherever you go, because it's you've recognized that it's your true awareness. So whether you're in a nice field and it's a beautiful scene, nature, or whether you're just at home sitting in a darkened room, it doesn't really matter, because that love, that presence is still there. And this is really the art of it, the art of living in a loving state, is to master this and learn how to stay in this loving presence and this loving energy, no matter what.
I'm just wondering what it is, Jono, that what it is about being in nature that brings us back to our source. Because nature, the world it's still part of the illusion. It's still part of the dream, but yet it has this ability to help us retune.
I think because there's less mind energy. There's less of this monkey mind that human beings have created so much complexity, and we've created a society, like anything man-made, has all this complexity and all this kind of thinking from the ego entrenched in it, and then you go into nature and it just removes all of that. Nature's much more about being. You know, you look at a tree or a plant or a flower, even an animal, you know, it's just being. It's not trying to be something that it's not, It just is. And it's happy as it is. Like a tree is just a tree. And there's a sense of beingness about it. And because of that, I think we can connect with that in ourselves, that energy in ourselves. Just be as we are. You know, as human beings are so busy trying to be something they're not. You know, we've got all these false self-concepts. Or, you know, I want to be perceived this way. And like, what do other people think about me? And how do I fit into the social construct? And you go into nature and it just removes all of that temporarily. But it doesn't have to be temporary. You can take that and say, well, why couldn't I stay in that state even when I go back into the man-made world? You know, and I'm interacting with people and I'm in society. Why couldn't I stay in that presence? And you can. And a lot of mystics and you know, enlightened beings, they tend to spend quite a bit of time in nature. They just remove themselves from the world, and because it's a very simple existence, and it connects them, you know, with the source of being. So it's one step closer, I think, to the source of beingness, this love that these lessons are talking about, than if you're living in a constructed world that's constructed by the mind. You think about what's around us, just look around the room. Like, is there anything natural? Very little, right? It's all constructed by the mind. We've designed it, we've developed it, then it's got to be manufactured. There's a whole commercial process that goes into the buying and selling of it. Now we populate our world with these objects that are all made by the mind. And as soon as you go into nature, all of that just gets removed. And it becomes a bit easier to connect with the source of love, of beingness that is in our minds. So I think that's why.
Yeah. Okay.
If we can tap into that energy, then it does allow it to arise in our minds. So nature can be used as a tool, you know. And he's saying love isn't everything I see because love is in my mind. So it's everywhere. You can see it in nature, but you can see it in a computer screen. You can see it in a mobile phone. You can see it in even these man-made objects, because there's still this quality of presence, of pure awareness, pure formless awareness, that allows you to perceive anything at all that's in your mind. So it's trying to point you to a state where you can see it in everything and feel connected to it in and through everything, which is pretty profound. You know, that's a hallmark of enlightenment. You see samadhi as you see the sameness everywhere. You see everything as the same. It's got the same quality of presence and love. This is enlightened perception, and that's what he's trying to train our mind to experience more and more of. So any other thoughts on that? Any questions, comments, ideas? Richard? Ruth?
Hi.
Nothing really. I think having had a farm and had a natural river environment, there was forestry plantations on the outside of that. I used to find an incredible relief, if you like, just you know, on a daily basis, just seeing what was around me and watching fish eagles fly, for example, or, you know, orchids growing on the riverbanks, whatever it might be. It was just quite incredible, and it was away from and all the artificial stuff and the paint on the walls and the designs and the flashing lights and the, you know, those kind of things. It wasn't curated. It was curated, but in a different way, in a harmonious, balanced, interactive, symbiotic way. That for me was what I picked up there, and that's what I'm getting out of this text.
Yeah, exactly. It's one step closer to source, you know, to like a state of pure beingness. Nature is closer to it than the man-made world. So if we can connect with that energy through nature, then, you know, by all means, do it. Just recognize that it's not nature that's doing it. It's your own mind It's still your own awareness. It's just that awareness is being activated in that situation. So you can use these things as tools. And ultimately, you want to get to the state where, yeah, I can be in a shopping mall and I can still be connected to that presence. That's where this is leading. It might be harder initially, but if you can really train your mind, he's not saying love isn't some things. Love's only in nature. No, love is in everything I see. Every person, everything, whether it's natural, man-made object, it's in everything because it's fundamental. It's fundamental source. It's the fundamental awareness in your mind. So how can it not be in everything you see if your perception relies on that awareness? You see, you must have that awareness to have any kind of perception of anything. So some pretty deep ideas here that take you. Well, you apply these. It's the whole way. You go the whole way to enlightenment in this world and a state of really pretty extraordinary happiness. Call it extraordinary ordinary. So in the very ordinary things, you find this extraordinary happiness and peace and bliss coming through, which is what he's offering us through these teachings. Ruth, did you want to say anything?
Oh, well, I was just thinking, it's quite funny how I'm just staring at a piece of grass, really, and I've been staring at it for ages, but it's so joyful. It's so joyful, yeah. Because of all these pretty lights. But also, what you were saying, it reminded me of another thing. There was one time when I'd been feeling really low for a long time and hopeless, and then somebody put the idea of hope in my mind. They gave me something just something they said gave me something to grasp onto, and I remember that feeling. I remember specifically looking at a shoe rack in, I think it was Woodbridge or somewhere, but it was glowing. The whole thing was glowing, but it wasn't anything to do with the shoes. It was the rack and everything. Like, it was just a really everyday normal thing in a shoe shop, but it was really, I just remember like, wow, why is it glowing? And it was my mind, maybe not my mind, but it was coming from inside. Yeah, the feeling of hope was making very ordinary things seem very extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
And that's just somebody saying something that I chose to believe. It was like a sort of glimmer of hope in a sort of in a difficult time.
Yeah, well, and that was coming from your mind, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We have Efrat joining us. Let's say hello to Efrat. Efrat's actually a course teacher. Hi, Efrat. How are you? Let's see if if she can hear us. Efrat? I don't know. Okay, let's see if she unmutes. So it's profound stuff, and you start seeing that. It's all in your mind. You were in an altered state there, and then you see the shoe rack glowing. It's like, okay, well, wow. So is that outside of me, or is it inside of me, or like where's perception actually coming from there? And what Jesus is saying is it's coming from your mind in this quote, very clearly. So some pretty profound ideas just in these very, what I like about the simplicity of these lessons and these quotes. There's a very simple quote. There's only one happiness in this life, to love and be loved. And superficially you could look at it and go, yeah, okay, and then you just move on. But if you dig into it a little bit, you just go, okay, so what is this pointing to? Like each one of these takes you all the way to source, to like the ultimate enlightenment, to just an amazing experience of life. So that's what we're trying to do in these little discussions and meditations. Okay, so shall we do a meditation on it? Everyone's up for that?
Yeah.
I don't know if
yeah.
Join us today. And I actually have a meeting with her later. Maybe she got the time wrong. I'm just gonna, you're all on mute. So Ruth, if you want to sit on the grass or somewhere where you can just relax, it'll probably help you get more out of the meditation. So just making yourself comfortable, sitting your feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises, chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils, clenching of the sphincter muscle. Draw the energy up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart, connecting with your heart space. Draw it up into the crown of your head. Full maximal inhale breath. Pause at the top of the inhale. And just check in and scan your mind. So just noticing any thoughts, any emotions, sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting, unpleasant in any way. Breathe in again, just create some space, some awareness around that thought and emotion and sensation. You bring space into anything. Find that negativity, that discomfort, unpleasantness starts to dissipate. So breathe in, just let it dissipate. Remind yourself of today's idea and the lesson. There is only one happiness in this life, to love and be loved. So this love is the source of all happiness. And love is in everything I see, because love is in my mind right now. If that's true, then how can I be unhappy in any way? How can any of this negativity be real? And so just let it go. It's not real, it's not really there. It should be very easy to let go of. So you just exhale it out. Your breath, letting it go. The nothingness that it really is. Blowing it away with the breeze of your breath. Low stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here. Bottom of the exhale for a few moments. In the peace and the stillness. Comes when you let go and you just let God. So let love just arise in your awareness. Just notice this very calm, happy presence. It's just there in your awareness. It just is. So just experience it. Breathe in again. Notice how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And exhale the airflow out of the nostrils. Notice the subtle sensation of that, the touch of the breath in the area just below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. And just continue on in the cycle of breathing in and breathing out. Stomach rises, stomach falls. Notice the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils and out of the nostrils. So focus all your attention on the subtle sensations of the breath. Bring your awareness into the present moment. And in the present moment, this loving presence or essence we call God can arise in your mind. So let it just happen. You let go of everything else. There's no need to think about anything else. No thoughts, no emotions, no sensations. Just surrender to this presence. Allow it to arise in your mind. Have a sense of its extending in and through you. But if it's everywhere, it must be in other people and things as well. So you're just starting to become aware that love is everywhere. You don't have to create it, try and manage it, control it. Just experience it. Just allow it to arise and to be there, completely in your awareness. Love is in everything I see, because love is in my mind. So this points you within to the source of love in your mind, which is your true awareness. This is your own true nature, your pure formless awareness, which is indestructible. It is eternal. So just sinking into that awareness. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. For the next couple of minutes, just breathe, relax, be still. And surrender into this loving presence. And if thoughts come in, seemingly distracting you, wanting you to think about irrelevant things, the past, the future, what you have to do still today, or this week. Just let those thoughts go by turning all your attention to your breath. Focusing all your attention on the breath takes your mind into the present moment and out of dysfunctional thinking. So let the breath take you there, into the silence, to the stillness that we call love. And experience happiness in the moment, in the next couple of minutes of deep silence. So just coming back into awareness of your body and the breath. And you drifted off to a deep place in your mind. So just bring it gently back, same way we entered the meditation, we come out. Through breath and body awareness, notice the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils on the count of 1. Stomach rising and the chest rising, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind again, noticing the state of your mind, any thoughts, any emotions, sensations in the body. You might notice more quietness, calmness, openness, emptiness, spacious awareness. And so you just release, let go, exhale out. Through your mouth, notice the air flowing out. Chest and the stomach suck back in. Letting go of anything that's in any way disturbing that nice, calm, happy state. Count of 2, noticing the weight of your body, pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching with your hands. Maybe there's a subtle flow of hair on your skin. Breathe in again, notice the air flowing in. Maybe there's a smell on your nose as you do that. Notice that. Taste in your mouth. Notice that. Notice what you're hearing, surrounding environment. Whatever the sounds are, subtle or gross, just observe them as detachment. Recognize that love is in everything you see and hear. Whatever you perceive, really. Love is in everything you perceive because love is in your mind. So underneath all the sounds of this busy world, there is silence. And you can perceive that silence. And connect with that silence. That's where love lives. That's where love resides. You can stay connected to that even while you're in the domain of sense perceptions and sights and the sounds are happening. You don't have to depart from this awareness of love. You can maintain this in the world. This, in fact, is what enlightenment is all about. Being in the world, but not of the world. Staying connected to the deeper presence in your mind. Not being swayed by a of sense perceptions into false thoughts and emotions. So hopefully you've experienced a taste of that you can carry with you for the rest of the day. In this meditation, now it's time on the count of 3 to open your eyes. Just take 30 seconds to look around, observing the room around you, observing the various objects that you're hearing and seeing and touching and tasting and feeling. Your body, and remind yourself that love is in everything I see, because love is in my mind. So this loving presence is still there, even though your senses are fully engaged. You feel it, connect with it, and it's very fulfilling and it's very happy by its nature. You don't need to seek in any kind of extraordinary experience. It's just moment by moment. Underlying perception, that underlying awareness that is always there, that underlies all of your perceptions. So just set the intention to stay connected to this the rest of the afternoon, evening, and remind yourself of today's ideas. The quote, there's only one happiness in this life, to love and be loved. And then a deeper take on that is that love is in everything I see, because love is in my mind. So it's not specific. You don't have to be loved by a particular person or love a particular thing. It's in everything you see, because it's your true awareness. It's in your mind. It's your base state, your fundamental nature. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and the session. So
great, thanks, Jono.
my pleasure. I hope you enjoyed that. Sets you up for a nice afternoon and evening.
Yeah. And I'm going for a nice massage now. So
amazing.
I'll be totally rested by this evening.
Enjoy that.
Good.
All right. I'm on the